Coming up on this edition of ATV News.
It scares me.
No serious flooding in Cache Valley yet. We'll show you what people are worried about.
Those athletes at the time wish they could have had the experiences that these athletes had tonight.
We'll show you how USU celebrated 50 years of Title IX.
The one test killing me.
We'll show you what students are doing to stay focused during their final exams.
It's really windy out here. In weather, I'll tell you when you might need your snow boots, an umbrella, or some sunscreen.
In sports, runners call it the worst race, but I'll tell you what Aggie broke a record in it.
All that and more, this is ATV News.
Evidence of our history-making snowpack and spring thaw is now being felt throughout the state.
Governor Cox addressed Utahns after sinkholes, mudslides, and floods damaged roads and neighborhoods all over the state. Welcome to this edition of ATV News. I'm Anna Johnson.
And I'm Paige Johnson. The governor spoke at a press conference addressing flood mitigation in Utah. He says though temperatures have fallen these last few days, Utah should prepare for more flooding.
We've had a pause now. You've seen where the water is coming. Pay attention to local conditions. Stay away from fast-moving rivers and streams. Fill sandbags if you can. Ask for help if you need it.
Utah officials say residents should be cautious when it comes to both floodwater and drinking water.
If you have concerns about your drinking water, don't wash dishes, don't brush your teeth, certainly don't make food or make baby formula with the water until you know it's safe to consume.
The state has seen a lot of flooding, but there have been few reports of localized flooding across Cache Valley. Snowmelt flooded parts of Smithfield on Wednesday. The flooding was mainly on 300 South at the opening of Dry Canyon. City workers put sandbags down to divert the extra water into canals to prevent flooding in residential areas. City officials say they were prepared for the storm drains to be overwhelmed and planned where to divert the water. Residents say they were surprised to see the streets flooding.
I continued my walk down 300 here in Smithfield, and I saw the water gushing down the street out of a lower storm drain.
Smithfield officials say if you live in an area that's prone to flooding, to prepare now. They say to make sure water is redirected from buildings and downspouts coming off your gutters are pointed away from your home.
Parts of Utah are getting slammed with flooding, but how is Cache Valley doing this spring? I went and visited areas most at risk to see. Utah's record-breaking snowpack is starting to melt, and people are seeing why it's been making headlines across the state.
History often repeats itself when it comes to flooding.
Utah experienced historic flooding in 1983 when the streets of Salt Lake City became rivers. 1700 South in the city became a river last week. Cache Valley hasn't seen much yet.
We're particularly worried about the low-lying areas around rivers.
All this water comes from the Bear River, which is filled to the brim with our mountains runoff already, causing lakes like these to appear where they shouldn't. What can we expect for the next few weeks, though?
No matter what, there will be flooding, and the houses over there will get flooded for sure.
Something I saw as a pattern in those previous years was a very rapid melt-off, where you see this graph of the snow melt coming up, and then it all melts.
Homeowners say they're already seeing a little bit of that water threatening their homes.
If even one of our pumps in the back or our laundry room fail, we would flood. Within minutes, we would flood.
This water started running through Jeremy Martin's yard. He said this was his backyard just a couple days before I came to visit after one of the first warm-ups of the season.
We want it to melt a little bit and then calm down and then melt a little bit and mellow out.
What's flowing right now is just what's on the valley floors. That mountain hasn't even started to melt yet, and it's terrifying because there's a lot of snow on that mountain. And we are right below it. Zook says stay away from fast-moving water and be careful on roads that have water near or on them. For more on flood safety and hazard zones in Cache County, head to our Facebook page.
4 children and 2 adults are recovering from a vehicle collision on Main Street. Witnesses say the silver Nissan containing 4 children and 1 adult rolled over several times after the collision. All inhabitants were injured in the crash, and the EMTs transported them to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, including the driver of the white Chevrolet. The North Park Police Department says they are still investigating, but believe a vehicle failing to yield may have contributed to the crash. Cache County's Driver's License Division hosted the unveiling of a tribute plaque this morning.
Such a beautiful day and the sun is shining.
The plaque honors a young girl who died in a tragic accident 5 years ago. Family and friends came together for the event.
She was pretty special. So it's just in honor of her and keep her going.
Her legacy keeps living on, you know, like her death had a meaning behind it, you know, like she's not going to be forgotten.
I myself had a kidney transplant. My dad donated his kidney 28 years ago, so I am grateful for that second chance of life.
The plaque will hang inside the building for years to come. This is a new project started by Donor Connect. Cache Valley is the second city to have a plaque in their building. To see Taisley's story and learn more, check out our Facebook page.
Students surprised President Noelle Cockett with a walk of thanks, recognizing her for her accomplishments at Utah State University. Students, faculty, and staff applauded President Cockett as she walked down the steps of Old Main, thanking her for her time at USU. She says it made her day fantastic.
I am so touched. I didn't realize I knew so many people.
The walk ended at the TSC Ballroom, where the university presented President Cockett with an award.
Logan officials say former president of Ukraine, Viktor Yushchenko, is planning on visiting Logan this Thursday. Yushchenko is coming to attend a lunch event hosted by the Wasatch Group with Mayor Holly Danes. He was president of Ukraine from 2005 to 2010. Yushchenko is known as the president who began the fight for democracy and separation from Russia. He will speak about his experience in the war and will be fundraising for the nonprofit To Ukraine with Love, providing emergency needs to the people of Ukraine.
Over 50 years ago, President Nixon signed Title IX, providing equal opportunities for women in college athletics. Verl Johansson shows us how USU celebrated the occasion and what they're doing to provide more opportunities to female athletes.
Applause filled the Russell Wanless Performance Hall as Utah State inducted the 2023 Hall of Fame class, a group unlike any other.
For the first time, we are honored to induct an all-women's class into our Hall of Fame.
The class included gymnast Tana Call Davis, soccer Chantel Flannery, hammer thrower Crystal Larson Duplessis, basketball is Jerry McGahan, volleyball is Danae Molman Pruden, softball is Christine Thompson, and Marilyn Weiss, USU's director of women's athletics from 1975 to 1981. Weiss says a lot has changed since she was at Utah State 42 years ago.
Those athletes at the time wish they could have had the experiences that these athletes had to know.
Here in Special Collections, I learned that before President Nixon signed Title IX in 1972, USU women's volleyball qualified for a national tournament in 1971, but struggled to get the funds necessary to travel. After the Title IX passed, that funding was easier to come by.
Or so I thought. The 1971 volleyball team didn't go to the tournament as Title IX didn't solve low funds.
There wasn't really a roadmap for how to fund it. They just said, provide equal opportunity.
While they may have struggled to pay for sports before, USU is finding ways to make sure it's not a problem in the future by starting a scholarship.
As of tonight, we've got $75,000 that's been raised for that scholarship to support women's athletics here at Utah State.
Verl Johansson, ATV News.
The Hall of Fame class included 2 All-Americans, Larson Duplessis and Thompson Davis, who owned 16 school gymnastics records when she finished college, and Flannery, a 2-time Western Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Year in soccer.
Every night of Ramadan, Muslims break their fast at sunset with a meal called iftar. I went to a community iftar at USU so they could tell you why sharing their religion is so important to them.
This is a community iftar.
This is the second annual community iftar.
Iftar is an Arabic word for breakfast.
It's breaking the fast.
During Ramadan, we don't eat from sunrise to sunset, and so our first meal is the one at sunset, so it is the equivalent of a breakfast.
We're just all sharing a meal together. People of Islam faith, it's kind of a minority here in Cache Valley.
I think the majority of the community is made of students because this is a college town. I'm used to being in a community where at least one event happens during Ramadan, and when it did not happen, I felt like I had to make it happen.
Religion is one of those things that people have very, very strong opinions about.
I think especially in a place like Utah, when it's not exactly a very diverse place, people don't really have a lot of opportunities to get to meet people from outside of their faith or their race or their culture.
We have people who are Muslim and then people who are from different faith traditions.
These events help to build relationship of trust and appreciation and give us the opportunity to intentionally engage, to learn something about one another and to find common value.
Communities are built of people who are all from different backgrounds.
We need to be able to have conversations with people who are of different traditions. This is what I live for.
Cache Valley is more diverse than we think.
The last day of Ramadan is this Thursday.
After being canceled for 2 years because of the pandemic, soapbox racers hit the streets this weekend. Cars skidded and slid as teams from Logan to Price raced their homemade soapbox cars. Organizers from USU's American Society of Mechanical Engineers say the event let them flex their car building skills.
Just to show what's possible if you put your mind to it, and instead of just sitting in class, actually applying what we're learning and having a good time with it.
On your mark, get set, go!
The group closed part of the Green Canyon Road in North Logan for the race. Frazier says they inspect brakes and steering before racing because the cars can go as fast as 35 miles an hour. The garbage men took out the trash and won the race, beating 11 other teams.
As the semester comes to an end, you might have a final exam to take. Sahra Nasir checked in with some Aggies to find out how they're feeling about taking their finals.
Maybe you should check that out before.
These students are working, turning in assignments, studying for tests, and completing their homework. They say the end of semester can be quite stressful.
I'm a little overwhelmed. I have lots of classes that have finals. I only have one project for my finals.
One class it's like test heavy, so I have to study a lot for that one, so it's pretty stressful.
Others say it's not that bad.
Honestly, I'm not taking too many credits this semester, so it's not too stressful.
And I find value in what
With the weather changing, students have the option to study and relax outside, an option some say helps relieve stress at times like these.
The sun makes me happier, puts me in a better mood, so I'm probably more inclined to do better studying.
Other than that,
going to the gym is a huge stress reliever for me.
Definitely naps. That's my self-care, like the most realistic self-care I can do during finals.
As for seniors who are done with their finals, waiting to graduate, but are worried about what comes after that, USU has a resource center to help with that.
We can help them look at what are some different options for how to use their degree. We can help students who maybe are having a change of heart and they are completing a degree and realize it's not really what I want to do. What else could I do with this degree? We can help with that process as well.
For the rest of the students stressing about finals, remember,
it's almost done. Just put your head down and do it.
Zahra Nasir, ATV News.
USU also offers a free counseling program for students in need of reducing stress and receiving help with improving their well-being. You can find a link to their website on our Facebook page. Sahra Nasir is joining us from weather. How are you feeling about your finals coming up?
I actually have one test and I don't feel that stressed, but we'll see.
You know, I only have one final, so I'm glad about that. And coming up.
So, it was fun. It's way fun.
I'll show you why there's sumo wrestlers and slides in the field house.
And honestly, I don't really trust the critics because I feel like they have their own opinions and I'm not going to base my opinion off theirs.
What makes a good movie? We'll tell you what people think and why they don't always agree with the critics.
These flowers are getting some much needed rainwater. I'll show you how long the rain will stay in weather. The current temperature is 47 degrees.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it!
look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome to ATV Weather. I'm Zahar Nasir. Let's take a look at our national radar. So if you look at the national radar, you can see that most of the states have started clearing up, but we're still receiving some of that precipitation around the state, like over here in the east side in New York, and also down here in Texas, and a little bit right here closer to home in Utah. Let's take a look at the state radar. Anyway, how's your weekend? If you look at the state radar, you can see that down here in the south, it's also clearing up, but there's a lot of rain and snow showers going on. Up here, right by Salt Lake City, Ogden, and even where we're at in Logan, and we actually received 0.09 inches of precipitation. Let's take a look at what that actually looks like on a live campus look. If you take a look on campus, you can see that there wasn't really many students on the bus stop as usual. There were just a few students out there, and the floor was also wet, just few students around. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast to see if that's actually how the weather is going to be looking like for the rest of the week. If you take a look at Tuesday, you can see that today we actually had some snow showers with a low of 29 degrees, but tomorrow the weather will be clearing up and we'll be getting some sun, you know, with a high of 41 degrees. On Thursday though, we're going back to the weather like we had today with a chance of 50% chance of some snow and snow showers. If you take a look at Friday and the weekend, you can see that we're going to be getting back that sun. The weather is going to be clearing up, and into Sunday and Monday, we're getting back to the high 50s, a nice weather to go outside and enjoy. You're all caught up on weather. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Zara. We are 2 weeks away from the end of the semester. To celebrate, USU threw an all-day party.
These students are at Aggie Block Party, hosted by USU on Friday.
Oh, this is the Aggie Block Party. There's a different event happening in every single area to celebrate Utah State and celebrate our campus that we have.
After students got free food, they moved to the carnival. When you walk into the field house, up through it shows that there's many activities like bounce houses, slides, and sumo wrestling.
Yeah, we just did these ones. I won the race, so it was fun. It's way fun.
It's truly just seeing people come together. I love Utah State, and I love that it's a family, as an Aggie family.
After the carnival, the end-of-year bash started. 5 bands played in the Sunburst Lounge and TSC Ballroom. These students said they couldn't help but dance the stress of school away.
I love the end-of-year bash and the block party, so just enjoying my college experience.
At 10, the Aggie Dance Party started in the field house. Free USU fanny packs and coupons for a scoop of Aggie ice cream were given out while the students danced.
It's freaking awesome. I feel like I have a lot of freedom, and I can kind of just do, not whatever I want, but like have a good time and feel like, you know, I'm not being judged.
Students like Robinson said it was a good way to end the school year and have fun before finals.
After the dance party, there was a drone show on the quad. The night then finished with True Aggie Night.
Not all movies are created equal. Noah Giles shows you why some students say you have to decide on your own.
Popcorn and a drink. Everything you really need to enjoy a movie. But what movie to watch? It's hard to pick a movie these days. There are almost a dozen streaming services and hundreds of movies. And that's just sitting on the couch scrolling, not to mention actually going to a movie theater. So how do you choose?
Definitely action. Action and thriller.
Probably romance and action.
Critics don't always agree with the regular moviegoers. Take the Super Mario Bros. Movie, for example. On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is a 96%, compared to 58% from critics. So why don't the critics agree with regular viewers?
I think that people disagree with critics mainly because we're looking for different things. Critics, I feel like it's more, they have a checklist that they're going through. And honestly, I don't really trust the critics because I feel like they have their own opinions and I'm not going to base my opinion off theirs.
There's a lot that goes into making a movie, whether it's writing, casting, or the visuals. But what makes someone want to watch this movie over this movie?
As long as it ends good, or
was just exciting and kept my attention most of the time, I would say it's a good movie.
Suspense, whether that's in the form of action or just thrilling, I think is very important to me as well.
You can scroll for hours looking at reviews, both good and bad, and see what everyone else is saying about movies you've seen. But in the end,
I would just say watch it. You might as well go see what it's like and see for yourself what you think of it.
Noah Giles, ATV News.
Christensen says you don't have to be a critic to have an opinion, but to appreciate cinema for what it is, art. Have you guys seen any good movies recently?
I honestly can't remember the last time I went to a movie theater.
Yeah, I think I went during Christmas, but I'm not for sure. Coming up. In sports, I'll tell you how one run made a rodeo star be set up for success.
Unfortunately, no, we can't be an Achilles. Everybody's got an Achilles. But
How many players get hurt in a game? We'll tell you the stats coming up.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
So, I got this new family. And I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy. Oh, and she even talks to it. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
And the average this weekend at UFU's rodeo with a 5.4 second run, and that was Derek Wadsworth. Welcome to ATV News. I'm Morgan Perkins. USU's rodeo team competed in their final rodeo of the season at Utah Valley's University Spring Rodeo in Spanish Fork. Here's what some of the athletes had to say.
Competing on the rodeo team is awesome. Everybody's super close, and you got to help each other out in rodeo, and everyone on our team does a great job.
The opportunity came to jump in and help the Utah State rodeo team. We were so excited. We love college rodeo and what it does for kids. Helps them to get a degree while competing in the sports that we love. And we have a really good group of kids.
It is an individual sport, but the team does a good job of making it kind of a community and family.
For this rodeo family, one in particular has made waves this season. Hannah Nunn, a Canada native, took home the 2022-2023 Rocky Mountain Region Goat Tying Championship. I sat down with her before the short go, and here's what she had to say.
It's been pretty good. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens the rest of the weekend, but tonight went good.
Nunn's coach told me she doesn't like to talk about her successes till after the rodeo, just in case she jinxes herself. She'll head to the College National Finals Rodeo this June in Casper, Wyoming. Women's softball had 4 games last week starting out in Colorado. The Aggies split the series at Colorado State, winning the first game 6-0, then losing the second 2-7. On Saturday, during our doubleheader against Fresno State Bulldog, Elisa Denby scored the first home run of the game in the top of the second inning. They then made a double play, getting Aggie Gazelle Gonzalez out at first and Gabriela Jimenez out at second. Fresno's Bella Rocco hit a drive into the left field, sending 2 of her teammates home to round out the top of the 4th inning. But wait, that's not all. Left-handed batter Juliana Wilson hit the scoreboard quite literally, bringing her and Bella Rocco home at the top of the 4th. The Bulldogs were leading 5-0. They then decided it was time to play catch with the Aggies as Jamie Hicks missed a bunt, taking a strike, leaving Kiara Carrillo in a pickle before being tagged out. USU finally started chipping away at the lead in the bottom of the 4th with the bases loaded. Clayre drove this hit down the right line, running past first and hauling to second, sending 2 of her teammates home. The Aggies scored 1 more run in the 4th, rounding out the score against the Bulldogs 5-3. But Fresno State responded in the next inning, getting 3 straight homers back to back to back. Starting out with Kahahi Matson's home run, the Alta Loma Jr.'s 7th home run of the season. Juliana Wilson hit the second home run, her second of the game, followed by Alicia Demby with the 3rd home run in the top of the 5th. And you can see her rounding that out 3 in a row. USU's Gabby Jimenez hit her 1st home run of the game and 5th of the season in the bottom of the 5th, driving that ball clear over the fence, sending her and her teammate Jaden Kalunga home, bringing the Aggies within 3. The Aggies and Bulldogs went to extra innings before the Bulldogs came away with a 10-9 victory. In Sunday's game, Gabriela Jimenez hit a double that brought home 2 runs to tie the score 2-2. Jaden Kalunga stole this home run coming up at the top of the fence. Let's watch that again in slow-mo. This is why this 5'8" California native has a fielding percentage of .939. Aggies Clayre Rayleigh and Kaya Pratt made it to home off a hit from Grace Matei in the bottom of the 3rd as she slides into 3rd to get tagged out. That play left them in the lead for the next couple of innings. But it doesn't stop there. The Aggies were on top of it. This showstopper of a strike coming against Fresno State's Alicia Demby. Let's watch again in slow motion. The throw easily slides into Mackenzie McFarland's mitt, adding another putout to her 196 record this season. The Aggies piled on 4 more runs, giving them an 8-2 victory. The women's tennis team made a trip to Boise last week, playing against Colorado State and Wyoming. They defeated the Rams 4-3 and lost to the Cowgirls 1-4. They'll play Thursday against Boise State here in Logan. The men's tennis team played their final home game, hosting the University of New Mexico. They lost 2-4, their first loss at home this season. They played this Saturday at Boise State. Utah State's track and field team competed in 4 different invitationals along the West Coast in California and Oregon. They brought home 3 individual titles and a broken record for the 2nd time this 2023 season. If you are a football fan, you have a favorite athlete, there's a chance that player is going to get a concussion. Marcus Lamb brought his helmet to find out how dangerous concussions are and how a former player is still recovering.
This is TJ, former football quarterback, longtime athlete.
I had been playing football since I was 9-ish, 9, 10. The first football game I ever played was actually on my 10th birthday.
TJ wasn't the athletic type, but his sport-loving family was supportive.
From the very first tryout, I just took to it. I really liked it, and from there, I just fell in love with it.
TJ eventually became quarterback of his high school, but he paid for it with concussions.
Definitely more than 10, you know, and then if I look back at it, so I've probably had more than I can count.
Football and concussions go hand in hand.
Football, you see a lot of them just with the speed and the strength that those athletes have. The more that we strength train and speed train and do all the things off the field to make us a stronger, faster athlete, the worse concussions are.
Athletes, both professional and minor, have to keep focus. Because one mistake can turn a star into another statistic.
Concussions are critical to older and younger athletes. 10 games of men's football has a concussion rate of 2.5, and the youth league has a chance of 0.23. In 1936, PubMed.org found that football had the highest concussive rate with 6.4. However, the study was limited due to trainers not reporting any injuries or players not wanting to be left out. TJ still feels the after effects from his concussions.
I have to take notes all the time. My brain will just get too cluttered sometimes, and it gets very hard to just take that one step to try and declutter it.
He finds that exercise helps.
I have to make routines in my life or else things will slip away. I think I got out okay. For other people, probably not. They probably wouldn't tell you.
Marcus Lamb.
DJ!
ATV News.
He doesn't regret playing football when he was younger and is glad he finished his football career. You're all caught up on sports. Back to you all at the desk.
Thanks for joining us on our last edition of ATV News this semester.
You can watch this and other editions on our Facebook page, and tune in next week for our semester edition of Cash Rendezvous.
We'll leave you with more shots of the Aggie block party.
Have a great week, Cache Valley.